Mic check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Alrighty then. How are we today? I hope you guys are better than I am today. I've had a little bit of a rushed day. And first off, I couldn't make the 4 p.m. stream start deadline or timeline, and now almost missed this as well. So it is a glorious Monday after the midsummer weekend. I had an amazing weekend with our family, friends, kids, our kids' age, and parents, like-minded, amazing people. And in fact, on Friday, I got to use their gorgeous view at their summer house, one of the family's summer house where we stayed during the weekend, and I did a little Juhannus vibing out session. So midsummer weekend vibing out session from there. Played a couple of hours of music for you peeps, and I hope you joined in there. And it was sort of a slight distraction of the sort of regular Juhannus festivities. But while I was playing, the other peeps in the three families were playing some summer stuff, going swimming, cooking. So I got to basically just sort of leave off of a dinner table to go DJ, and then I got to jump back in for some cake and further, good eating. Like I said, I'm a little frazzled maybe today because I haven't gotten my gear all the way set up, but I'll do it here on the fly and it's no big deal. I hope everything looks about okay. This camera seems, well, actually not dark. It's just my screen is a little dark. I am going to be breaking down my track Surrender, or as much as I can. What I have of Surrender, which I made with my buddy Ashley Walbridge, is a stems track of which the final mix and master was done. And then I have my original session that I messed around in after Ashley sent me his original idea, which had some of the vocal and then some of the synthy stuff that is in the track. And I did some of my stuff on top of that. Some of it ended up in the track, some of it didn't. And then Ashley did his thing and finally sent over the stems of the track. And I did some messing around with them still, mixed it, added some edits and whatnot. And then actually I did the first master or two versions myself as well. But then the master ended up, that was the best sounding, was absolutely Tom Falls, who has also mastered a lot of other Garuda stuff, and Garrett Emery's own stuff as well. So yeah, that's what it ended up being, Tom Falls master. I wasn't far behind him, but he's a master of getting loud mixes that sound good And his sort of presence in some of the bass management stuff definitely was way better than mine. So I'm glad that is it. So let's see where we at with the boom. Shake the room. Okay, that camera is there. Cool. Well, it's quite okay. I am going to start the track. Let's see how you guys hear it. Give me a shout. How are the monitors? Wild Days, it's not that different. It's not that different really at all. Well, actually, you can hear it right now. Alrighty. Fox's vocals are amazing on this. Okay, so, all right, Vicious Code, was it you? No, Wild Days. So comparison, to be honest, just check this out. These are the colored stuff here. First track, FX. It's all the sweeps, booms, bangs, so on. Bounced on one track. Kicks, yeah, self-explanatory kicks. Percussion is all the drums, hi-hats, claps, other drums and percussion. Bass is bass, of course. Mids is like some piano and synth stuff, and then riffs processed is that riff plus pumping sounds that support that go along it, and then there's vocal also. But so you wanted this muted track underneath here, that's actually Tom's master, so we can take a listen here. So Tom's version has a little bit of, when you talk about mids, I don't think you talk about sheen. Often it's used about high end, but mid sheen, I would say. And then it is wider somewhere like upper, hold on, like it goes wider, lower than mine. I actually have a tendency to narrow my stuff sort of from below. Well, it's not all mono, but most of it is mono below like a few hundred hertz, but then like around maybe 1500 or maybe under 1K, most of my mixes that I do, and then when I start mixing it down, I start taking under like 1500 or 1K, I take about 75% width of what I had, or 65% depending. It often seems a little smaller that way initially, like the whole mix seems a little smaller, but at the same time it actually often clarifies some sort of like muddiness or some sort of honk or whatever it is when I do that. But yeah. What I'm happy about is that I know how Tom's master sounds in a club, and it sounds great. And when I have these stems here, and I've made various versions, edits and stuff like that of it for my own use, and then mastered it myself, it sounds close enough and good enough and loud enough compared to his. So, you know, I can easily use my new edits or whatever I've done. Yeah. Yeah, this isn't Sandstorm, that's true. Laberski. Hold on. So, Surrender is the name of the track. It's written by myself, Ashley Walbridge, and the lyrics, very importantly, the lyrics are by Cara, who has created quite a career for herself and is only going up. She's been writing and performing vocals on many a trance records and some pop stuff getting there as well. And she's got quite the nice team. Props to her, and thanks for these vocals. And then Fox is singing them beautifully on this, so I'm consider myself very happy to be part of this. Ashley made the initial draft demo based on the vocal of Fox's vocal, and then we started sort of going back and forth. And somebody said that you can hear the Ashley Walbridge sound in this. Absolutely, he was the one who in whose studio the final sort of, not the final mix, but sort of the final form of the track took shape, and he has his hands in almost everything in the track. And I did my part too, but the production sound definitely is very much his. If somebody is interested, this track actually, regardless of Sandstorm, but uses pretty much the same chords as Sandstorm. E minor, C and G and D. But doesn't basically do the same thing with them exactly, and is not in the same rhythm base or whatever. But if I wanted to do a really quick, cheap Sandstorm Surrender remix, I could just pause on like Dave Dresden does on top of this, and that's it. Effects. Just sort of basic stuff. Crashes, long reverb tails, and made to sidechain pump so as to give it the pumping sound, but also for mixing help. Enough. Oh, glad you swung by. All right. Tonal stuff too. This has to go with the key of the track. This here. Rob is in the house. I've always used tonal stuff a good bit, but these days it's actually even easier because a lot of the sample packs these days have good tonal sweeps or initial material that you can use as tonal sweeps. What is very, very important though, that you actually know, I mean, of course you should know the key of your track, but that, like, how the key works, because for instance, if your track is, say, in E minor, you know, like this one, chords are E minor, C, G, and D. Yeah. The E minor, for instance, in this track is the one that starts the round. So when you bring in the tonal sweep, whatever the last chord of your track is, your tonal sweep or building sound, if it doesn't bend up, I mean, needs to be in a same key or fitting key as the last chord that is on, or maybe if it is in the same key as the first chord of the round, that is a fitting key, and then it can create nice little tension, and then that tension is released when you go on the first round of, or you know, the first bar of the new round. And also, if you use sample packs and you use tonal stuff from there, or anything that has a key or note in a track name, or I mean file name or folder name or whatever, be wary. Just check them still. You know, don't blindly trust them. And obviously anybody who makes music, their ears should tell the difference anyway if they are out of key, but just check them out. Sometimes also some tonal stuff might have a fifth, or it might be a full chord, and some people might only make it say it's an A, but then you need to remember or recognize yourself if it's actually an A minor or A major. Somebody might just make that an A. You just check that out. I know it's obvious stuff that I'm stating, but not really, because I've heard stuff that is off key, and then when I asked about it, it's like, yeah, because the tonal effect is in key based on the like the file name or something. So you need to be wary of that. I need to fix something. I wrote down Ashley's name wrong. Boom. Now it stands corrected. All right. Kicks. This is a nice kick. I like it. It's very unassuming, but it works in this mix and in a club really well. When you listen to it on its own, if you look at the waveform, well, actually, no, this is quite the small. Very simple sine wavy thing. Percussion here, a little bit of snare. While it's, to be honest, that's from Ashley. I believe it's a sampled kick. I don't know which sample pack. When we talked about production, Ash has been mentioning some Vengeance stuff, for instance, but I don't know if that's a Vengeance kick. He also likes, he knows what he likes and he knows how to get that, so he probably has tweaked it to his liking anyways. But like you can see, it's a very simple, has an attack, but very sort of, there's just a tick, and then it was very just sine wavy, not distorted, not much else other than the actual, like the kick sine wavy bass part of it. Some loopy stuff, hi-hats, and this. Works really well. And then the bass. That's a, I would say, sort of a simple, it's a cool trick, simple one. Go into a transition, one of the synths, a filter sweep, high cut filter closing, with a good bit of resonance going. If I remember correctly, that one is probably just a silent. What's going on? Good to see you. All right, let's see what we have in the vocals. There's some that is something I call a pre-reverb or pre-verb. So you can hear Fox's vocal coming in before he actually starts. When the lights go out. So basically you take, for instance, in this case, you just take a clip like this. Excuse me. Where are we? There. Okay, and I'm gonna just do it on another channel. You're gonna put that when the lights, this bit. I don't remember what reverb is used in this one, but now you have the when the lights, that bit, you reverse it. This is the old school sort of way of doing it. I'm gonna do a fade out there so it doesn't click. Then I'm going to put, there's already stuff on here, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to put a chroma reverb. It's a big reverb, or I'll find a big reverb. Let's just do spaces. Just cathedral is good. This is probably too big, but it'll do. Let's see. All right. Okay, cool. I could do 100% wet in here. And I'm going to add a little bit of decay. See? Okay, so then I would do, I'll grab that. I am going to bounce in place, vocals, pre-reverb, bounce in place, new track. Don't need to mute it. We can just, well, actually, yeah, mute. Boom. So now we have a bit that we can now reverse, and then we'll put that there. And then if we listen to it here, I'll put it in place accurately, or more accurately. So let's see what it sounds like. It's a little different. Oh boy, now I have the reverb on there, so cool. And we can put that a little quieter as well. And we can put it, make it a little shorter so that, okay, let's see. What is going on here? Oh, sorry guys, my bad. Wrong audio bit, of course. When the lights go out. So that's a little crude, quick version of what this here is. When the lights go out. And of course that vocal bit is bounced off of a couple of doubles, and then this reverse reverb is done separately on another track. There's no harmonies on this part. When the lights go out. Well, yeah, there are. So, no, I didn't forget to reverse this. If I listen to it here, I can actually, if I put those on top of each other a little bit, check this out. So I would do this in real life, something like this. Let's see. Still a little loud for that, but you get the point. Something like that. Anyway, it's a nice trick to, or practical thing to ease the transition and show people that the vocal is coming. There. Hi Kilohearts. Hey guys, so one of my things today, I'm gonna be pulling up a plugin synth called Faceplant by Kilohearts, and we have Anders from Kilohearts in the building, and I've been messing around with that synth for a long time. For those who are familiar with something like Serum, for instance, or Alchemy, or what else do we have? I guess in parts Massive X as well, or Massive, but this is like a sampler synth that you can throw anything at it, samples, wavetables, and has nice little bunch of presets, and you can do sort of crazy sound design with it. And I was just thinking of going through some presets and noodle around. And in my all professionalism-ness, I haven't actually prepped that at all. So let's just dive in. Anybody have anything specific to ask about this track? There's not that much to this stem final mix master version. Oh, I can show the master chain, of course. And then what I've done in the channels, I've limited, for instance, I have a limiter on the effects channel so I can catch rogue peaks like this one here. On the kicks channel, there is a little boost in the bass department, 1.5 dBs shelf at 92 hertz. What do we have next? There's some sort of ringing frequency around 1880 hertz. A little boost, 2460. And then a little bit of a shelf. And a little bit of a high cut in the upper end of the spectrum just to make it a little sort of less piercing. Some corrective stuff that I felt was needed in the bass department, some bass boost. And then I added a shaper box doing a tiny bit of additional ducking here below 710 hertz. Just, I don't know, making a little bit of room for the kick in the mids. We have a little bit of 1K boost, 2 and 3K-ish little dip, some corrective, I don't know, some ringing probably collecting there. And then I have a C6 sidechain here, which is triggered by the vocal. And so if you look at this, this band here, and where we have vocals,
I got no alibi to save me anymore. We're breathing in the vices that held us down before. It's taking all that I have to keep.
So what I have there, this doing is that it's very limited band around, hold on, about 3K, and a range is 3 dBs, where the vocal is pushing that little frequency band there down whenever it's on. And so here where we don't have vocal, nothing's happening here. But then when we have vocal, we have activity. And it's also doing that on the mid channel for 3 dBs, and on the side channels only 1.1 dB. I don't know why exactly those numbers. But what that does is that it gives the vocals a tiny bit more space in that range. And I think I hear that Fox's vocal, whatever needs to cut through best, cuts through best around that area. So there's a little bit of maybe sibilance, but some sort of upper stuff of her vocal and when I have it ducking down a little bit on that range, you don't hear the synth really ducking, but you feel the vocal coming through a little bit better than without it. So, Wild Days, are you sampling? Let's see, which one? The riffs? Why not? So, yeah, I can't play it all the way through. You're gonna sample it and abuse it anyways. Separate stuff Ashley and I did. Yeah, like I said, Ashley is definitely more of the production mastermind on many cases here. But we agreed on sort of the arrangement and all the synthy parts. We went back and forth about some of the drum stuff, and then I can show you my project. Hold on. Before I go to the other project, I can show you also. So the master bus. I think it's just better that I'll just show my project file, what I had there, and so. I boosted some around 450, and then some shelf above like 4 or 5K. Then this is my sort of typical master chain, or was. This kind of still is. I have the R comp doing very little, very slow attack. And then only doing 1 to 2 dBs of gain reduction. That's just, I don't know, gel. And then there's something about that I think it brings a sound. This one is, if I so this is a Logic compressor compressing to shit, and I add only 3% of that in the mix, and it adds body to the track, or I think a little bit of level, like maybe 1 dB or something like that, and I would want to say body, and you don't hear the distortion or anything like that. It just adds a little bit to it. I like that's, yeah, and that's just obviously like a parallel thing. After that, I have Kramer tape doing very little here as well. Very little in terms of like distortion, tape saturation wise. You don't really hear it that well, or it's not obvious, but it adds a little bit of oomph in a low end, and then some sort of width or depth or something like that in the mids. I don't use it because it simulates an analog thing. I use it because to me it sounds nice. After Kramer tape, I have Vitamin, which I earlier already said is doing a little bit of narrowing, but also widening. So over like 2K and then over 10K, there's a little bit of widening going on. Over Yeah, 1000 as well. A little bit of, actually no, that's just this, the not widened at all, the regular. But then under 1000 hertz, there is only 0.65 wide, and that's so as to clean up the, is that the upper mids then? What do you call that, I guess? Well, low mids. Yeah, something. And then the other thing that Vitamin does, it's a multi-band widener and or exciter. So I've pushed a little bit in the 1000 to 2000 range, and then 2000 to 10K range. So it just makes it a little, basically louder and brighter, and adding some harmonics to those ranges. And this. What, Rob? Oh no, dude. Sorry to hear that. So this does very little as well. Quickly listened. And this, wow. 5% of sausage fattener. And that there I've compensated the volume level, so this doesn't do anything to loudness. I've toyed with either using it or not, and I've got versions with and without it. In some cases, I like sausage fattener in tiny bits where it like crunches things up a little bit, sort of nicely fucks stuff up. But a lot of times you can make stuff louder and sort of seemingly punchier, but it also eats low end nicely. So I don't too much recommend it to anybody, especially anymore. Something like ozone or other limiters, and combo with compressors, multiband compressors too, if you know how to use them, work really well in place of it. But I've used it a lot, and I still do, and especially single tracks, you know, some bass sounds and whatnot benefit being sausage. So with the vocal, I have like 4.5 dB clipping or limiting, which is not really that great, but I was competing with Tompa. But as you can see, even with very little or much less than the chorus going on, there's still 3 to 4 dBs of limiting going on. So it means that there's a lot of sort of attacky dynamics or attacky sounds used here, and this particular track actually has been mixing wise quite forgiving about the compression. But this is one of those tracks. This is 2018, and already then we were talking about a lot about loudness wars and so on, and going back and forth with Garuda and also Tompa, and we were talking about who and how and why, you know, where the loudness threshold is. You know, for DJs, it's important to get tracks loud enough so it's easy to play among other tracks, but then at the same time, there's a limit somewhere. And I'm happy with Tompa's master, though, that is plenty loud and not totally crushed still. Nocturnal sessions. Yeah, I've gotten the request for those tracks quite a lot, and I will do them one of these days. is there something else with yeah, so I use Insight or Insight 2 now for visual sort of confirmation maybe, and I use Shaperbox or Volume Shaper, but Shaperbox.
I got no alibi to save me anymore. We're breathing in the vices that
See, this is
hold
quite
us
loud, so
down
this is kind of
before.
too loud, I would say.
It's
Doesn't have to
taking
be.
all that I have to keep
The
believing the aching hearts made of glass won't stop beating.
Bye, Lady Daughter. And when I mix a track or mix and master my own stuff, I pretty much always use the waveform display, as unscientific as it is, but you can. So, for instance, just looking at the kick, you can see the kick is, you know, as it is the most important piece of dance music track, it's, you know, going almost full, using the full headroom pretty much. So then you want to know that everything else fits in there with the kick as well. You know, you check adding the bass, or you take the kick out and think of if there's time-wise and frequency-wise room for the kick. This track does it well. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, I know. I can see my mic being lower than the music this time. Okay, okie dokie. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, let's see what this looks like. I have, yeah, I need more lights for that. So this one right there now is in focus. Yeah, here. That's now the Blackmagic Design Pocket Compact camera, 6K, and it looks pretty neat. I need, it actually does really well with low lighting, but I need a little different lighting for it, and different settings. I'm needing to figure this one out as well. This is a Canon now, and then this is a GoPro 7. So I'm in the process of tweaking all of this. Let's see my partial project here. The piano is playing just like simple, like one bar or something chords. Let's see if they are here. So this, you gotta sort of bear in mind that this track, this is not a full-on produced thing. This has bits of Ashley's stuff and bits of mine, and it also has a couple of different sort of parts here that are like not fully organized. But let's I'll take my stuff, these things that are mine out of here. for now, this should sound familiar. So that was, you know, a what are you going to call that? Like a suggestion or trial thing, and then these things sound quite a lot drier. These sound quite a lot drier than what the actual track has, because Ash uses some reverb stuff that I don't have. And then when I did my tweaks and whatnot and sent my suggestions back, and so he was doing it with his reverb settings and whatnot. But I didn't need them right now because just messing around. Oh, that one, yeah, that's actually a Logic pad. The one that I said earlier that could be silent with the filter sweep with resonance. What do we have here? Some riser stuff. Rob, so my Canon actually, the Mark IV of the 5D is out the factory equipped with being on all the time, so you don't actually have to pull any stunts doing that. It you just select like clean HDMI output and never shut off, and it works, and it can do that. What it does is it actually turns off the display of the unit, so it doesn't heat it up, because that's the main issue with several of them. So if you do have a Canon camera that you somehow can trick to go beyond the 30 minutes, for instance, of constant use with the power supply, beware that it could technically heat the camera so much that the sensor gets damaged. That's the reason why the older models don't do it. And then you can have like a firmware hack or something like that where it does do it, but then it could actually damage the camera. I'm not saying that being a negative Nancy, but I just know that some of the newer ones have that factored in, and that they do work continuously, hours on end, if you have a power unit. All right. So this project doesn't actually have them, apparently. I thought I had one that does, but the original Vocal actually had piano like printed to them, because the original thing that Ash got from Folks and Cara had like an acoustic piano. It was like acoustic piano and singing thing. So that was actually interesting hearing that in this project as well. So then I had stuff that I was suggesting. Yeah, I'm getting roped in the camera discussion. I have. Yeah, so that kind of stuff. Hold on, you were asking about the lead. As per Mr. Wallbridge, it's consisting of very typically 5 different things. What are those? We have massive, we have silent, 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 and massive. So massive and silent is that. Massive, silent, 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 massive. I have a feeling that in the final one there might be one more of something, but so there, and then we have the pad that is under there. And that's just basically bass notes. And we have more of the pad, I think, here. Oh, yeah, those are full chords. Yep. It's interesting doing collabs, and it's really nice doing collabs with people who use the same DAW you do, but then at the same time, we all work in different ways. So Ash, for instance, it really took me a good while to figure out his arrangement. He just, I'm not saying he's not actually neat, because all of his stuff is in order, and but he just uses a lot of layers. Or I use a lot of layers, but here, for instance, this is the same sound, chord lead 1. That's the same sound, but it's different track on the breakdown because he uses some different effects on it and different settings. The same is here with the, well, called Pike, but this sort of plucky. It's a different. So basically filter settings and other stuff are different in a breakdown and in a drop, where I would most likely, I don't know why, I'm a little OCD about how the arrangement looks, so I would probably use a single track. If it's possible, I would do the changes with automation and not on separate tracks, but it's all obviously how people want to do stuff. But then when you get a project from somebody who uses the same DAW, it's nice, but there's still the factor that some plugins don't work because you use often different plugins, and then you have to figure out the other ones' sort of workflow and mindset, considering, where everything is, how they are colored, and or if they are colored, how they are named. And yep. Cool. So I think that's about that. Now I'm gonna just start the software instrument here, and we're gonna go straight to the output bus, and let's see. Where did I save some stuff? Okay, so let's see what this is. So this synth is Faceplant. I saved this for something. Nice. Let's see. Find Faceplant there. So I am pretty much always initially a preset user, and I was very happy about Faceplant and its presets because you can quite easily sort of get going with the synth, but then if you want to and need to tweak, you can tweak about anything and everything. And I am in no way any sort of a wizard with this thing yet at all. I just know that you can do pretty much everything with it because I've gone through quite a lot of the presets, and there's a ton you can do and a ton of modulation that can be done, and then there's 3 lanes of effects that you can put everything through. So to me this seems like, it feels like doing audio editing in a DAW on a channel or various channels and piping stuff to buses or like send effects and getting results like that, except that this is like real time doing it in sampler sort of way, synth sort of way. And so if you are familiar with the Kilohearts plugins at all, they have this sort of their own system of they have like a plugin host where you can put create amazing plugin chains, and that existed before this Faceplant thing, and now it's also included within Faceplant, so you can build, say, 3-lane plugin chain with compressor and limiter on one, ensemble and delay on one, and transient shaper and filter and 3-band EQ on one, and then you can send various things of from your sound sources to that. So I've been quite excited, and what has been fun for me is just go and start sort of browsing. Why is that even happening? you can drop your own samples in it, like a sort of regular sampler. You can, this is a wavetable synthesizer. If you look at this picture, this, I'm not doing the comparison for any other reason that, you know, it's a similar thing. You've seen these on Serum and others, the wavetable display. And then something like this opens, and it takes half an hour for me to even realize what's going on. In the last couple of tracks that I've made, I've had a couple of instances in every one of them always had sort of fun and good results. Hey, where's my 303? So what was I using the other day? Yes. Great. Alrighty. This is not actually far off from Ash's, some typical bass stuff. Well, there's one doesn't. One just tries and sees if it fits or not. And yeah, I mean that's a really good question though. But on a bass note, like this sort of borderline starts being whether it's too low or not. Sometimes a bass sound gets you feel that it has weight, but then it doesn't have impact or something like that. Then I feel that it's too it's just low, flabby something. It's not in a way controlled. Sometimes also, so then depends on the sound, but the low end notes are just kind of like distort, or not distort, but the flappiness is, you could like hear it's just too slow, so low. And sometimes you can be mad or disappointed because you like the sound in certain range, but then when you try it on your track, where your track's key is, the lower octave might be too low and the higher octave is too high, so then you technically can't use the track or the sound in the track. Or if you're going to use it, you're going to have to change the key of the track, or maybe you get like a nice higher octave tone of it, but then you have to layer it with something that has a fuller body in the range that you need it to be. Absolutely, wild days, but it depends on the sub as well. But yeah, you just you could try anything and everything. Just then in that case, if your rolling bass line doesn't have enough low end and you support it with something, just remember to cut enough of the rolling bass line so that it doesn't cancel and or otherwise compete with the sub. But yeah, and then you should listen to them together soloed, so that they play together, and also in the context of the track, if they actually work well together, so that they are complementing each other. I'm actually liking this one right now, but it's quite low. But it's nice because the distortion that I put in actually makes it wider and more sustained. Yep. Okay, so I wish I was really, really well versed in all things in the Faceplant, but I thought regardless that I would show the plugin to you guys in case you hadn't tried it yet, because it is definitely worth looking into. And they have a huge bundle of all kinds of bigger and smaller audio tools, plugins for your DAWs. And this guy here is just, if you get your regular sampler and synth stuff, you'll get this, but then you can bundle together all kinds of routings and modulation and the effects routing, and it's a monster, really. Okay, let's find a quick pad there. Nice little one-note pad. Hold on. Do I prefer Faceplant to Serum? Not really, but I don't know if I have a favorite between various wavetable multi oscillator, this and that. I just go to one of them and try out, and if I don't find a good starting point at that in that session or that moment, I'll go to the next one. But this, as well as Serum, has a huge tweakability, and I seem to find a little edgier sounds in this one and Serum, for instance, than in, for instance, Spire and Silent. But it's just different things, and like what right now I'm working on a Super 8 and Tap collab, and it's the ball is in my court right now, and I'm using, or we are using, very sort of basic, the Spire and Silent. But then what I brought in, I just recently got Mayan's new sample pack, and I think I've got like 15 tracks of Mayan's various sounds. There's sweeps and booms and some drum loops, but then I've also used single note bass stuff and synth stuff and created sounds out of those. And it's a matter of just getting to it and tweaking, and sometimes something sounds good, and I wouldn't really rely on thinking like, oh, if I get Faceplant, I'll get bass sounds or lead sounds or this and that, or if I get Serum, it's for this and that so much, because you can really use them all almost for everything. It's just a matter of how you mix them in, how you treat them, and I wouldn't say any of the specific synths are for specific style of music or genre or sound. All right, guys. I'm gonna study Faceplant myself a little more as well. Like I said, I'm only using it, so I'm actually going to take a better look on the ins and outs of it, so I can talk about it more. Maybe I'll come back to it, showing something that I've learned at a later stream. Now it's getting late, and I need to go pick up my son from a hockey thing. But thank you everyone for joining me. And I don't know why this seems like it is lagging quite badly, but maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe my laptop is starting to wrap out again. Either way, so we are going to, no, it's just that camera. We are going to be back on Wednesday, and then Friday again for DJ Sesh, and Wednesday chatting, and we'll see what these new lockdown limitation liftings are going to affect. But I'll keep on streaming as much as I can anyways, and I'm very happy to be able to do this for you guys. I'll see you on Wednesday and then on Friday, and now it's family time. Cheers, and thanks everybody for joining. Thank you, Rob. Thank you anybody and everybody who's helping me out, and I'll talk to you later.